Hey folks, it's Rob, and welcome back. We're continuing our series today on the Monstrous Compendium Appendix for the Mystara setting. We've advanced to page 82, and, uh, our creature today, while the scan isn't too faded compared to what we might sometimes get, uh, that's not really what's gives me any pause. Doesn't this resemble maybe it resembles a buzzard creature, right? But what do buzzard creatures kind of resemble? Why, the Skeksis from Dark Crystal, right? Uh, and maybe you'll see some other things about these that are like, but I'm certain that these are totally independent and are unique creations. Yes, yes. Um, let's get into it. We have this and the next creature, which is a two-pager. So we gotta get going. Nagpa. They are climate terrain, non-Arctic desert, ruins. They are very rare. They are solitary. Their activity cycle is any. They are omnivorous. They are exceptionally intelligent at 15 to 16. Treasure type I. It would be in their lair. Their alignment is chaotic neutral. So eventually, it's very selfish, right? Uh, Number appearing 1. Armor class 3. Movement 12. Hit dice 9. To hit AC 0 is 11. It gets 1 attack, which is its D8 staff, but it can, under its special attacks, use spells. No magic, no special defenses, but it does have a magic resistance of 15%. So on any spell cast upon it, there's a 15% chance that the spell will be negated. Size, medium, 5 to 6 feet tall. They have elite morale at 13, and their XP value is 3,000. Nagpas resemble dried, withered humans with the heads of vultures. They are intelligent, magical creatures that shun the company of other races. Nagpas stand 5 to 6 feet tall. Their skin is brownish and similar to mummified human skin, and their joints appear to be gnarled with age. A strange odor surrounds them. It smells like a combination of bird droppings, mustiness, dust, and old chemicals left on a wizard's shelf too long. Nagpas speak the common tongue as well as their own language called Nag, pronounced Nog. Okay, so Nog, right? It's Nag. Forgive me for pronouncing it Nag. Maybe it's Nogpas as well, if it's Nog, the language. Nog consists of squawks, caws, and shrieks, and is definitely not a language suited for whispering or polite conversation. Combat. As a rule, Nogpas shun contact. They prefer to hide or flee rather than contend with outsiders. When forced into combat, Nogpas use long-range spells first to try to end the fight as quickly as possible. So, they'll go straight to Fireball and Lightning Bolt if those are within their capability. Well, we'll see how capable they are, but I imagine they are quite capable magic users. If the opponents are not driven off, Nogpas increase the deadliness of spells or enter melee combat. Okay, I'm so afraid of that D8 staff. These highly magical creatures use spells that are equivalent to the spells of a 9th to 12th level magic. Yeah, okay. Before an encounter with a Nagpa, the DM rolls 1d4 plus 8 to determine the creature's spell level. So that would be, well, functionally 9 to 12. So then chooses the Nagpa's spells. Nagpas cast spells like normal wizards. That is, the spells must be memorized, and the spells use verbal, somatic, and material components. That is something particular to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. And the second edition, which this was written for. For D&D, the basic set, BECMI, we don't use verbal, semantic, and material components. Those are basically somatic is the gesticulation, right? And material components is like a sacrificial item, or something that you focus on. But and they don't call them wizard. They don't call them magic users. In second edition, they are wizards. But think magic user. In addition to their spells, Nogpas have innate powers, each of which can be used up to 3 times per day. So first off, They can create flames, causes one flammable object within 60 feet of the Nagpa to burst into flames and burn for 1d3 rounds, inflicting 2d6 points of damage per round to all creatures within 5 feet of the flame source. Victims who succeed a saving throw versus spell suffer only half damage. Paralysis forces all creatures of lawful alignment to make a saving throw versus spell. Those who fail are paralyzed for 1d4 rounds. Corruption causes one non-living object within 60 feet of the Nagpa to decay or rot into an unusable condition at the end of one round. Magical items are allowed a saving throw versus acid to avoid all damage. Darkness, 15-foot radius, and Phantasmal Force take effect as the spells of the same name. These spells function at the level of the Nagpa's spellcasting ability, hence 9th to 12th level. If forced into physical combat, Nagpas can swing their heavy staves as melee weapons. A Nagpa staff is made of an odd combination of iron and wood. Both elements appear to be swirled together in a smooth texture. The staff causes 1d8 points of damage in the capable hands of a Nagpa. If used by anyone else, the staff inflicts only 1d6 points of damage, the same as a normal quarterstaff. Nagpa's staff also functions as a ring of spell storing. It can store a total of 3 spells of levels 1 through 3. This function can be used by creatures other than the Nagpa. Spells are cast from the staff at the 8th level of ability. Though the attack is not noted above, Nagpas bite with their beaks as a desperate last resort. The bite inflicts 1d8 points of damage with a successful attack. Habitat/Society. No one has ever seen a Nagpa offspring or a Nagpa family, and with good reason, there are none. Perhaps half a dozen people in the world know the truth about these odd creatures. Nagpas are, or rather were, human or half-elven mages cursed with this disfigurement and then set loose to wander the length and breadth of Mystara. Certain immortals inflict this curse upon especially selfish mages who disdain the company of others. The curse cannot be removed by any spell less powerful than a wish. As part of their curse, Nagpas instinctively know if they are being talked about anywhere within a 100-mile radius. They can track such gossipers as long as the speakers remain in range. A Nagpa's ears suffer a burning sensation that grows hotter as the Nagpa gets closer to the individual who spoke about the race. Items such as amulets of non-detection protect the speakers from the cursed detection of the Nagpas. So great are the Nagpa's shame that they are determined that none should ever know their horrible secret. When a speaker is found, he or she is immediately killed by the Nagpa. It then wanders away, consumed with feelings of guilt, remorse, relief, and joy. Ecology. These cursed creatures cannot eat, sleep, laugh, reproduce, or take any other part in any other activity enjoyed by living humans. Some evil mages use their skin of Nagpas as parchment for scrolls for certain powerful necromantic spells. That's a heck of a component search, right? Go find me this evil creature race that no one's supposed to know about while we talk about this. Here, let me just put this amulet on while I tell you about this. And yeah, I need to make certain powerful scrolls that I don't want to detail any further at this time. Don't worry, they'll come find you. But at the same time, other than the fact that they have powerful spells and a bit of magic resistance, they aren't really that concerning, right? They only have the one attack. They have various special abilities, but none of them are all that debilitating or weird, except for the temporary paralysis. And if you have enough of a party, that's not actually a big problem. So they're unusual, right? Unusual is what I would say. They only one appears at any time. They don't want to be around each other. If one happens to be within a 100-mile radius, that's probably all that will be, right? Maybe there's a second one or a third one kind of angled out some way, but they don't want to be with each other and they don't want to be near you. And unless you're talking about them, apparently they're not going to bother to come find you. So, very particular. Now our next monster is a 2-pager, and it's a front and back, so I can't have both pages up at the same time, thanks to my viewers. Thank you, lovely viewer. But as we can see here on page 2, we get this, well, you can see there's a tiny little party members down here, and there's this great big giant, well, reminds me very much of the Man-Bat from Batman Adventure, or, from, you remember the early 90s Batman animated series, maybe, if you have good taste. But yeah, it's got interesting claw feet, it's got a big bat head, it's got wings. It's called a Nightshade. They come in 3 flavors, the Nightcrawler, the Nightwalker, and the Nightwing. So I'm guessing that is a Nightwing, right? And apparently it is ginormous. Because look at these little tiny people down here, unless it's some kind of perspective. We're terribly close to the Dark Nightwing, while these guys are down there on the ground, right? But let's go and read on, and we'll find out more, right? So, Nightshade. Now, I'm going to go through these. What makes sense? I think we'll cover the differences as we get along, right? Their climate terrain is any on the Nightcrawler, Nightwalker, or Nightwing, right? And they're all very rare. They're all solitary. They're all night active. They don't eat anything because they have no diet. They're all super geniuses, 19 to 20 intelligence. They all have treasure type U in their lair. They're all chaotic evil. It's all one appearing, right? All that stuff is the same. The Nightcrawler has a -4 armor class, which is very low. And it only gets worse in there. The Nightwalker is a -6, and the Nightwing is a -8. Which is actually getting to the point where a basic Dungeons and Dragons character of low level would not have a possibility of connecting with it, even on a natural 20, because at that point the chart has moved past 20. If you're going to use the THACO rules like they have here in 2nd edition, to hit AC 0, if your to hit AC 0 is higher than 12, it's basically not going to hit the target. So yeah, it's impressive. That's a lot of negative AC. Movement. Well, the Nightcrawler gets a 12, and it has a burrowing at 24. Okay. Nightwalker has a 15, but it can fly at 6, maneuverability class C. And then the Nightwing walks at 3, but flies at 24 with a maneuverability of B. The Nightcrawler has 25 hit dice. Nightwalker has 21 hit dice, and the Nightwing, the most fragile, at 17 hit dice. Nightcrawler has a to hit AC 0 of 4. The Nightwalker has to hit AC 0 of 5. And the Nightwing also uses 5 to hit AC 0. So that's rolls of 5 or better. 75% chance, basically, it will hit an AC 0. The Nightcrawler gets 2 attacks, the Nightwalker gets 2 attacks, and the Nightwing gets 1 attack. Now, the Nightcrawler, with those 2 attacks, will be 2d10 for a bite and a 2d4 sting. The Nightwalker gets a 3d10 fist with a second 3d10 fist. And the Nightwing gets a d6 plus 6 bite. All 3 of these have special attack of surprise and C below. Special defenses are C below. No magic resistance, at least. They're all gigantic. The Nightwalker is only huge. Sorry. The Nightcrawler is a 100-foot long giant creature. The Nightwalker is only huge at 20 feet tall, which is still bigger than several giants I could think of. And the Nightwing is also giant class at 30 feet long. Their morale is Fearless 20 on basically unbreakable. The Nightcrawler is the highest XP value at 19,000, the Nightwalker at 18,000, and the Nightwing 17,000. This is going to be a heck of a fight for your pretty capable party. So let's read on. Here on page 83, we're going to start getting into the text block. So, Nightshades are powerful beings from the negative energy plane who seek to spread death and destruction everywhere. Similar to undead, they are found on the prime material plane only if summoned by powerful sorcerers for dark purposes. All Nightshades are jet black. The air around them is cold and smells like an open grave in winter. These creatures have no visible eyes and apparently sense their surroundings magically. They see invisible objects and detect magic at will. Nightshades can read all magical writings and languages, although they cannot speak. They communicate with each other and their summoners telepathically. Each other, jeez. Nightshades never speak to their victims. Any creature that is not a Nightshade or a summoner is considered a victim. Combat. These aggressive monsters attack all strangers. They are usually encountered at night or in darkness. Natural daylight inflicts a -4 penalty on the Nightshade's attack rolls, but light causes no other ill effects. So, it would help. It would help. Honestly, -4 on a D20 hit roll is a considerable change. But, yeah, otherwise, these guys aren't really feeling it, right? Because of their coloration and stealth abilities, Nightshades have an increased chance to surprise opponents, as detailed in the paragraphs on each type below. This ability can, however, be negated by the chilling aura of a Nightshade's presence. A Nightshade noticeably chills the air within 60-foot radius, regardless of weather or temperature conditions. The chill of a Nightshade is something no adventurer forgets, and an individual who has encountered a Nightshade has the normal chance of being surprised by one in the future. Thus, surprise penalties usually associated with the creature are negated. The chill aura permeates solid substances, so that the aura will be felt by victims on the other side of a stone wall or above ground over a burrowing Nightcrawler. Ooh, that's something you could just kind of play with, right? Like, there's just a Nightcrawler below the ground, and suddenly your players who've never encountered one before feel like this. Suddenly the temperature drops, and there's a great chill, and it feels as if perhaps someone has walked over your grave. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of I have never used these. I'll be upfront. I was thinking of the Nightcrawler by its description along the lines of a purple worm, which is at least something I have used from a module before. But no, it's worse. The Nightshade's chilling presence spoils all consumable items within 60 feet. This affects rations, food, water, holy water, and magical potions, oils, and ointments. Oh, fun. No saving throws are allowed for these items. Such materials do not become poisonous, but become so desiccated as to be useless. The touch of a Nightshade is poisonous. A victim successfully hit by a Nightshade's natural attack, bite, sting, or fist, must roll a saving throw versus poison with a -2 penalty. Failure results in instant death. Well, this is old school. It's not like you're going to be throwing a first level character at a Nightcrawler or a Nightwalker or a Nightwing, right? Not get them actually to be fighting with it unless they're like a main. I don't know. I just wouldn't, right? So if going by this stuff, the 25, 17 hit dice, these are at least like a party of like 12th level adventurers, at least, if not more. And to have a save versus death for your character, that's some stakes. Know your group. know your group before you use such a thing, right? Um, it's the kind of thing that can cause hurt feelings, I will say. All Nightshades can use the following spells at will. One brings to mind the Jack Chick tract. Jeez. I'm old. I'm sorry. I used to be distracted like this, but it is exactly the kind of thing that was used in a kind of, well, if you're not familiar with what a Jack Chick comic is, they were by the Moody Press, and they were basically demonizing Dungeons and Dragons. And this one person in the comic is kind of overly attached to their character, and their character dies. And they lose it. And they don't, yeah, we won't talk about that more here on YouTube right now. But go ahead and look it up if you like. It's a real thing that's out, even I think to this day still circulating somewhat. But there is that kernel of truth there in that if you're at this point in time when and in fact the Jack Chick comic actually probably predates second edition. If your high level character dies, your high level character dies, and only a raise dead spell might be possible, but you will suffer the consequences of that happening, and so the party will have to make it happen. You know. Anyhow. I'm very distracted. We got plenty more to get through. All Nightshades can use the following spells at will, one per round: Charm Person, Invisibility, like they need to be invisible, Haste, Confusion, Cloud Kill, Darkness, Hold Person, Cause Disease, and Dispel Magic. Just anytime they want to. Once per day, Nightshades can cast Finger of Death. The Nightshade spellcasting level is equal to its hit dice. If a Nightshade uses a spell ability, it cannot make a melee attack that round. Well, some balance, right? Nightshades can summon undead once every 4 hours with a 75% chance of success. The undead creatures arrive in 1d10 rounds. To learn the type of undead that responds, roll 1d8 and consult the following table. So on a d8, 1 through 3, you get 1d4 plus 1 shadows, which are not nothing. 4 to 5 on that d8 is 1d2 wraiths, which are shadows drain strength while wraiths drain levels. On a 6, you get 1 specter, also a level drainer. 7, a ghost. And on an 8, a spirit, a hand druge, which I have used druges before because they're kind of like, a hand druge is like Thing from the Addams Family, but with other powers. It's just a disembodied undead hand. Nightshades can be harmed only by weapons of +3 or greater enchantment, or by spells of 6th level or greater. Again, this indicates a much at 12th. I mean, maybe if you have like a bunch of characters in the party. Considering Beckme as a setting, we definitely had to come up. There were definitely modules and adventures that had to be developed for moving past the companion set, which topped out at, Expert was 3rd through 12th, was it? And then Companion picks up there and goes on to like 20 something. And then there's the Masters set, which goes to 36, right? And you need modules and adventures for those master players, because this is the kind of thing you throw at them, I guess. It's world-ending nightmare monsters from the negative material plane, negative energy plane. Right, carrying on. They are immune to all forms of poison, unsurprising, petrification, illusion, charm, hold, and cold spell effects. Nightshades are particularly vulnerable to dragon breath and suffer only half damage from... It says particularly vulnerable to dragon breath and suffer only half damage from such attacks. But if they're vulnerable, why do they only suffer half damage from such attacks? If Nightshades roll successful saving throws, they suffer only 1/4 damage rounded up, which means that I believe the error is not with vulnerable. That it is with vulnerable, right? They are particularly not vulnerable. Nightshades are turned as special creatures. Finally, something that, actually a really high level cleric would be able to, maybe do something about this. At least it would only turn it though. But, would save the party while you try to get away. Habitat/society. Nightshades dwell on the negative energy plane, which provides them with life-sustaining energy. They can travel to the ethereal plane at will, but must be summoned in order to enter the prime material plane. Now that is, again, the world that, you and I and all the players in all the universes of gameplay inhabit, right? It is functionally the real universe. There's also a positive material plane that balances the negative energy plane. Nightshades are extremely clever and wise, with both intelligence and wisdom scores of 19. This great mental capacity, and that's superhuman, remember. In this edition, 18 is functionally your highest natural score. So these are super intelligent and super wise. This great mental capacity is a combination of the Nightshade's own wiles and the knowledge from the mind of the spellcaster who summoned it. So that would be the limitations of what it knows about, but they're all chaotic evil. We now move forward to the next page. So, top of the page, 84. The creature can use its summoner's knowledge to function better on the prime material plane. All people, places, and objects that the summoner knows are also known by the Nightshade. A Nightshade uses its great intellect to plan and scheme and to invent plots using servants, usually undead. As solitary creatures, Nightshades do not associate in packs, families, or even with mates. Nightshades have an affinity for undead. Some sages suggest that when numerous undead beings are destroyed, the energies released on the negative energy plane coalesce to form a Nightshade. Others speculate that Nightshades are related to black balls, and that black balls are some sort of larval or metamorphosed form, or perhaps Nightshade eggs. Whatever their origin, Nightshades can be summoned to the prime material plane by use of a powerful, complex spell. Certain evil wizards of at least 16th level know this spell, but guard the secret closely. Only one Nightshade can be summoned with the spell. This spell must be cast in complete darkness. Summoning usually takes place deep underground or during the dark of the new moon. Ecology. These unnatural, extraplanar creatures seldom interact with the environment. However, when on the prime material plane, a Nightshade is a destructive force capable of greatly disrupting a local ecology. A Nightshade always causes death and often drives normal life forms away. Nightshades always have treasure of great value. They swallow their treasure in order to carry it. They scorn coins, favoring instead gems, jewelry, art objects, and magical treasures. Nightshades collect treasure from their victims after battle. Well, I'm guessing... I did mention a lair earlier. They don't... I'm guessing the treasure's found on their person. Unless there's like Nightshade fecal pellets. Ooh. Nightcrawler. Nightcrawlers are similar to purple worms in appearance and measure about 100 feet long and 10 to 15 feet wide. Nightcrawlers are pitch black in color. These creatures can approach an opponent by burrowing underground and attacking from below. If this is done, a -2 penalty is added to the victim's surprise roll unless a Nightshade's chill aura negates the penalty. A Nightcrawler's bite inflicts 2d10 points of damage like any successful attack from a Nightshade. The victim must succeed in a saving throw versus poison with a -2 penalty or die immediately. In addition, a Nightcrawler automatically swallows its victim if the attack roll is an unmodified 19 or 20. A swallowed victim loses 1 level of experience per round due to the Nightshade's negative energy, though a protection from evil or negative plane protection spell prevents this drain. The Nightcrawler's tail stinger causes 2d4 points of damage on a successful hit. A victim of the sting must roll a saving throw versus poison. However, the stinger is so potent that a saving throw is made with a -4 penalty instead of the -2 penalty associated with other Nightshade attacks. Once per turn, the Nightcrawler can reduce one opponent to 20% of its original size, as if casting the reversed enlarge spell at 8th level. The Nightcrawler cannot attack physically in the same round as it uses the reduced power. The victim can roll a saving throw versus spell to avoid the effect. A Nightcrawler swallows a reduced victim whole on an attack roll of 15 to 20, which is maybe why it would be trying to do that. They are, remember, incredibly wise and smart creatures. Don't use them as animals. Nightwalker. A Nightwalker is a 20-foot tall, jet black, giant humanoid. It lurks in dark areas. Opponents with a -2 penalty to surprise rolls. Opponents suffer a -2 penalty to surprise rolls. Yes. A Nightcrawler never carries weapons or other items. It attacks with its 2 massive fists each round, causing 3d10 points of damage with each successful hit. In addition, the victim must roll a saving throw versus poison or die. A Nightwalker's attack can crush an opponent's shield or armor. Such damage is applied first to the victim's shield, if any. Once it is destroyed, damage is then applied to armor. The item in question avoids the crushing effect if the successful saving throw versus crushing blow is made. Magical armors and shields add their magical bonuses to the saving throws. The bonus equals the item's bonus to armor class. A Nightwalker can automatically destroy any weapons or magical item simply by picking it up and smashing it flat between its hands. It cannot harm artifacts in this manner. Artifacts are special, high-power magic items generally created by immortals. So that's why they're special and cannot be affected in this way. They're on a different level than regular magic items. If the item is held by an opponent, the Nightshade must make a successful attack roll to grab it. For example, their sword. No saving throw applies against this crushing effect. The Nightshade cannot use its hands for anything else in the same round. Okay, well, it's fair. It's occupied destroying your favorite weapon, Once per round, a Nightwalker can gaze at one opponent up to 60 feet away. The victim must make a successful saving throw versus spell to avoid the gaze. If the saving throw fails, the victim is cursed, suffering a -4 penalty to all attack rolls and saving throws until a Dispel Evil or Remove Curse spell is cast on the victim. Remove Curse is ineffective if performed by a caster of less than 15th level. The Nightwalker can use this gaze as often as it wishes, although it cannot attack while attempting the gaze. A victim can be affected by the gaze only once, until the curse is removed. After that, the victim would fall prey to the gaze again. Nightwing. The Nightwing is a giant, jet black bat with a 50-foot wingspan. Its initial attack is usually a dive. It gives a -6 penalty to the victim's surprise roll, though the surprise penalty can be negated if the victims recognize the Nightshade's chilling aura. The dive is treated as a charge, granting the Nightshade a +2 bonus to attack rolls and a +1 penalty to armor class, but giving opponents a -2 bonus to initiative. Now, fighters do have in BECMI the ability to set spears and lances versus charges. You may want to refresh yourself if that possibility could arise. Just saying. Nightwings do not carry the poison effect of other Nightshades. However, any victim hit by a Nightwing must make a successful saving throw versus spell, or be transformed into a giant bat as if affected by a polymorph other spell. Anyone turned into a bat is charmed and will obey the Nightwing. These effects last until dispelled. A Nightwing can attempt to strike a victim's magical items. It may target only shields and weapons. It suffers a -4 penalty to the attack roll. If the attack succeeds, the item is drained of 1 point of magical bonus. Thus, a +2 sword becomes a +1 sword. The stolen magical bonuses can be restored by a Dispel Evil spell, but the spell must be cast within a number of days equal to the dispelling caster's level. So, probably within a week or two at most, right? Unless it's particularly high-level magic user, possibly a party member. That's all pretty wild, right? Yeah. Nightwing being the probably easiest one to deal with, despite being the hardest one to hit. Yeah. That was something. Those are end-of-the-world level monsters, in my opinion. Definitely something for the top-level campaign. Really not something that you would introduce your, bunch of 3rd to 5th level party to. Not unless you just don't like them anymore. I mean, this could be a good replacement for the dungeon ceiling collapses or suddenly a dragon appears. Now, suddenly the chill of death falls over you and a Nightwing appears out of the sky. Great. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this. We're over time, so I'm going to wrap up. But thank you very much for joining me here today. And as always, if you like my content, please consider dropping a like on the video or subscribing. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.